Dusty Desert is Sonic's second level in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, and the first where you're carrying Elise. This slightly limits your moveset. You don't get gems, but you don't really have access to any at this point in the story anyway, but there's also no spin dash or slide. You still have your homing attack though, as well as Elise's shield ability, which lets you run across the sand and deal contact damage, though it doesn't make you invincible, and this level is very much built around the abilities you do have access to. For instance, as soon as you get used to moving around, you can run straight down to a few enemies, homing attack one into an explosive crate to obliterate the rest, then use the shield to cross over some sand. From there, you run past a couple broken pillars, take out a couple more enemies, are tested on your ability to follow homing attack chains, and then actually use your moveset to a much higher standard to get around some spikes in the sand. I think the escalation of obstacles to test your comfort level with new abilities is done really well here. From there, you open a cage with a spring inside by defeating some enemies, take out a couple more enemies, this time on some sand, go through a loop, and reach the tower climb section. But before we get there, there's a lot to cover. Back at the very beginning of the level, we can go straight over the first three enemies and ignore them entirely, then jump on some actually intact pillars before they rise too high, jump through a rainbow ring, and be taken to a completely new section of the level where you do a short homing attack chain to reach the spot where we had to open the spring cage. Back at the beginning of the level again, we can actually just go left immediately and run across some sand to skip half the first section of the level, though I believe it is a little bit slower than the other alternate path. Once we get back to the cage, we can do a short homing attack chain to reach a different path that lets us run along a wall and skip half the loop with a lightspeed dash, or back at the cage, you can do a short homing attack chain to reach a 1-up and a spring that leads to some rainbow rings to skip opening the cage entirely and takes us straight to the loop. You can even jump from the spring that leads to the cage from the faster alternate path and homing attack straight to the perfectly placed 1-up box and go straight to the rainbow rings from there. To be honest, there are so many paths to this level that I don't even know if this is all of them. Now that we're actually at the tower climb, we have to run all the way around it in a spiral, running past some spike balls, jumping over gaps, through mechs, all topped off with a platforming section involving jumping on platforms that are moving in and out of the wall. Or you could just take a homing attack chain from near the bottom of the tower, though it is pretty hard to do consistently. Oh, actually, if we go back to the loop and jump through the rainbow ring at the end, it skips the tower climb entirely. My favorite part about most of the hidden paths in this level is that most of the execution of them are entirely knowledge-based, leading to doing well in this level coming more down to exploration than execution, which lends very well to your movement with Elise, and very few Sonic games actually do. This final little bit, where we need to take out 3 more enemies to raise some platforms to cross over to our ring trail, can also be skipped entirely by recognizing the similarities to previous parts of the level and simply jumping straight to the ring trail. This is not, by any means, an exhaustive look at this level. A video like that would be at least 5 times as long as this, which isn't really a short, but I wanted to share what has ended up being one of my favorite levels to just replay over and over in any Sonic game I've ever played.